Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This one's going to be very special. I was invited onto my friend Kay's channel, which is Invest for Tomorrow with Kay. Jump over there and obviously check it out. It's all stock-based content, which is really good. And we talked about inflation, day trading, and just general stock chat. Really good conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Obviously subscribe to the channel, subscribe to his channel, and like the video if you did like it. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the chat.
All right. Hey, Sean, thank you for joining today. So why don't you tell us about yourself and your channel? How did you get into investing? Just a little bit of intro from your side.
So yep, hi Kay, how you doing? Obviously quite new to this, so excuse my little bit nervous attention. And but yeah, no, my name's Sean. I'm from Brighton, south of England, and I've got into investing probably a couple of years ago. But a little bit of background from me: just I like obviously stocks. I like a bit of football every now and then, and just kind of chilling out with my friends, etc., whatever. But yeah, that's it for the basics for me. But I started investing 2 years ago, 2020. Unfortunately, about 4 or 5 months too late in September, October sort of time. So I missed the kind of main bull run. But I got the end of it, which is the main thing. And yeah, started doing that for a couple of months. Then I started my YouTube channel in December. Basically on the premises that I wanted to show the importance for other people of investing. And yeah, hopefully I did a fairly good job. It's more for kind of friends and family, of course. But yeah, no, that's kind of how I got started. And the rest is history. I kind of moved a bit more into day trading, which I'm sure we'll go into on this chat.
Oh, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Sean, tell me one thing. It's very interesting that you started the investing journey in 2020. But what triggered you into what were some events that triggered you that I should start investing? What happened?
So let me tell you, it's completely random actually. So I was just kind of sat on my sofa, which is just over there, and I was just clicking through YouTube as one does, and just kind of these videos pop up, and you go through, and you go into a little bit of a rabbit hole. And then this video came up from a young chap from UK, which is related to trading 212, which is now my broker and still is to this day. I just got kind of hooked on it. So obviously you can make money while sitting at home, that kind of thing. You can be a millionaire in 20 to 30 years, all of those kind of videos, as they were floating about quite a lot, obviously, in 2020, as I'm sure you're aware. And it just kind of got me hooked, and it's hooked me ever since. And I've always been a fairly entrepreneurial kind of creative person, but nothing's ever really taken off. I've done things for maybe 6 months to a year, but this is showing good signs. I've done it for 2 years, and I'm really looking forward to kind of the future of it, really. So that's kind of how I got started, just completely randomly. Nothing really triggered me. No one told me. I was just on YouTube, and it just appeared. So thank you, YouTube. Yeah.
So so YouTube kind of gave you an inspiration to start investing, and then what gave you an inspiration to actually document your journey of investing through YouTube?
So yeah, documentation is an important one because obviously you want to see how you can grow not only as a human, but obviously with like investing tips and all that, and kind of knowledge really based on that. But I wanted to spread it. I wanted to spread that knowledge to mainly friends and family, as I previously mentioned. And the best thing is that when you teach, you kind of learn more. So it forces you to learn more. So if you're looking at a specific subject within investing, let's say patterns or just kind of different stocks, you would then look into that stock and then present your thoughts on that stock. And then you learn a bit more about that stock within myself. And it's just kind of that kind of balance between learning and teaching is quite good. And that's why I like YouTube.
So did you make any of your family members or friends get into investing?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. I basically got everyone at work, I got all my friends, all my family as I possibly could, because obviously, as you know, lots of brokers they give you offers for free shares and all that kind of stuff. So I did my best to kind of convince people to do that. At first, obviously, that was exciting, but then after a little while, after a couple of months, you kind of then teach them about investing and talk to them, have those conversations at work. Obviously, they can watch my YouTube videos, etc. And then a few of them they've continued, and that's really nice. And I feel like I've impacted their life in a positive manner. And that's essentially what I want to do, not only with the YouTube channel, but obviously in person as well. So yeah, just impacting people positively and hopefully, make them wealthy in the long term.
That
Yeah,
that's
that's my
that's
view.
awesome. That's really awesome. I think not just learning for yourself, but kind of giving it out to the community. And I think teaching while you're learning, I think it also helps you improve your own skills as you go along. So
Absolutely.
So Sean, did you start in, because I know that you are now big into trading. We'll get into it a little bit later, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
started off with investing, right?
I did, yeah. So I invested probably up until February this year. So that's what, I don't know, about 20 months, maybe something like that. It's a year and a half, and I'm still investing now. I'm not just I'm giving up investing. But the thing that triggered me is because the passion behind stocks and investing and everything behind it, even the Federal Reserve has an interest in me for some reason, even as a UK citizen. But just everything that comes with the stock market, just I felt passionate about. And even when I wasn't thinking about it, I was thinking about it. Don't know if that makes sense, but you know what I mean. You know, you feel drawn to it. So that kind of passion behind it made me think maybe I could do this for full time. But obviously, you can't really be a full time investor unless you've got a lot of money behind you. So I figured, what's the best way of going full time and still being interested in the market? And I thought, okay, day trading, let's try this. Obviously, I knew about it before, and I knew it was like the 99% risk and all of that kind of stuff. So I kind of gave it a go, got into it, obviously learned as much as I could. So yeah, just kind of going from there. I've been 8 or 9 months, I think, down the line now, and I'm showing some really good signs of progress. Obviously, I'm documenting it quite a lot, and I'm really looking forward to the future. The next few years, it's just going to be hopefully really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
because
obviously they document it on here as well. So on
because
YouTube.
I remember that you were making regular videos on YouTube, and then you kind of made a video that you're taking a break, you're going to go
Yeah.
out, learn day trading, and you'll come back and you'll document. And I think it took you like about 2 months or so. You took a break from YouTube.
Oh, a little bit longer. It's about 4 or 5 months actually. It's
Oh,
longer than I anticipated. Yeah, I know. They've taken me out of the algorithm completely, which is fair enough. So yeah, it took about 4 or 5 months out, and eventually it's one of those things where you keep putting it back, and you think, oh, I'll do it next week. Oh, I'll do it next week. And then obviously because it's summer, you're going on holiday a couple of times, and you're meeting out with friends, and you just keep putting it back. So that was part of it. I must admit, a little bit of laziness in there, which is, it's normal, it's natural on everyone. But the main important thing is I came back, and hopefully I will start day trading to a good effect for people to learn from, at least, and obviously documenting it myself.
awesome.
Yeah.
Sean, now since we talked about trading, now let me ask you this question. Right now you're trading as well as you are investing. So both are, you're going on both tracks at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
investing is a little bit of a backseat. Obviously, you can't look at it every day. You can't do everything every day because investing is a long-term outlook. So obviously, day trading is day in, day out, and you look at those moves, which I'm sure we'll jump into in a second. Yeah.
So walk me through your typical day of trading. How do you prepare for it? What time do you get up generally? I think you do have an advantage since you are in UK. You do have an advantage from a time zone standpoint. But walk us through your a typical day, like how you prepare for trading and what are some things that you do during trading, and then we'll get into a little bit more details into in those questions.
Yeah, of course. So preparation for me actually really starts on the Sunday night. So I'll sit down and do like an hour and a half of just kind of research of what's coming up in the market next week, whether it be CPI reports or just general earnings, chatter and stuff like that. I'll note them all down in a little notepad, which I've got somewhere around here. And then obviously highlight a few bits, underline a few bits that are more important than others. And then throughout the week, really, it's just more paying attention to like the patterns and kind of what's happening at that time. It's not really something I can really prepare for every day, at least not at this stage. Hopefully in the future, if I go part-time or full-time, I'll look at doing obviously prep in the mornings, like kind of full-time day traders do at the moment. Obviously, they write their notes, they have a look at their stocks, and they have what's in mind for them that day. But for me, it's more of a weekly outlook, which you probably could say is a bit more of a swing trader's attitude. But I would disagree because I am looking for those intraday swings, which obviously counts as a day trading kind of mindset. So preparation for me is mostly Sundays, Sunday evenings, and throughout the week I will make notes and I will have a look at TradingView on my phone to see what's going on. And obviously Twitter is a good source of knowledge, as we all know. Can be good, can be bad, obviously, but mostly good, I'd say. If you follow the right people, they give you the tickers to look at, and then it's up to me to make that decision and move forward with that, that trade if I need to or want to, should I say.
Got it. No, so that's amazing. Now, so like when you prepare on Sundays, is that the plan just specifically for Monday, or do you kind of also plan some of your trades ahead and then kind of check on it every day as you go through? Let's say if you plan for a Tuesday or a Wednesday trade, is that how you do it?
That's a good question. So on the Sunday, I will plan for the whole week. So it'll be basically news, basically earnings. So what's coming up on the Tuesday, earnings, Wednesday earnings, Thursday earnings. And I may or may not play earnings. I know that's a bit of a touchy subject with some people, but sometimes I do, a very small amount. And then sorry, I forgot, I missed the second part of that question.
Oh yes, like do you like on a daily basis, do you kind of go back to your plan from Sunday?
Oh yes, yeah. So what I do is I write it down, and I'll take a picture of it on my phone. So if I'm at work or something like that, I can quickly retrace back to my notes and say what was I about to react to that news, that kind of thing. Where should I trade? So for example, this week just gone, we had the CPI report,
Yep.
and I'm sure you know, and everyone watching knows it was quite positive. It was good, and the market went up 5% that day. So I played on that news, and I made a trade, got in fairly low, obviously just after the news, and then just rode it all day with a stop loss following it up nicely, and I made quite a nice bit of money, which is really nice, and it's rewarding as a trader to get that kind of trade. So you're playing on that note, playing on that news, and if it was a bad report, it'd be the other way around. So placing that short, and then obviously it goes down, make money.
Just on the little bit off topic, since you talked about the last week's CPI, well, my trade did not go well because I was hoping there would be much more volatility because I was playing Wix, and yeah, so it kind of killed it. But I do have a stop loss. I generally get out at 20% downside, so at least my stop. Again. Now, Sean, in your case, do you do trading with stocks, or you also deal yourself options, futures, or is it strictly stock?
So we don't have options over here, so I don't have the option to do that. So it's like a contract for difference is what it's called over here. So it's a little bit different, same sort of thing.
Okay.
You're placing money and then you get a 5% leverage on a stock, and then you get a 20% leverage on a future / indices. But I mainly play indices, I must admit, yeah, because obviously they're on 23 out of 24 hours a day. So obviously that's it's quite appealing because you can trade any time of day, all day, whenever you want. And obviously stocks, most of them are not tradable within kind of pre-market and after-market hours. So they're only market hours. So for me, it's 2:30 till 9 p.m., which might sound strange to you. I'm not too sure. But obviously, a lot of stocks, like the bigger stocks, so Tesla, NEO, Amazon, AMD, they are able to trade from before hours and after hours. But because my broker is UK, the liquidity is not quite there, so they don't really move much accordingly. So yeah.
No, so since you talked about NEO, Tesla, what are some of your favorite all-time plays? Do you have specific set of stocks that you always trade on, or do you kind of move around, different stocks, different industries?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I trade mainly probably NEO really. It's quite a popular stock, and I'm quite invested in my long-term portfolio as well. A little hint there for you all. But NEO is the one I trade mostly, but really anything that's high liquidity. So at the moment, obviously, there's lots of volume for AMD, even at Mullen, I think you call it, MULN, ticker name. There's a lot of volume for that one, and obviously that's very volatile. So be risk management for that is key. But anything that's high volume. So what I do is go onto finviz.com, go onto the screener, and then obviously sort it by volume and go that way. Sometimes I just pick stocks from that list. And obviously if the pattern matches, then I'll go for it, pretty much.
Having said that, let me get it. What are some of the charts and indicators that you use to help you with the trading aspect?
So the indicators I do try and keep to a minimum. Now, obviously a lot of people, they use so many indicators, and to me it just sounds confusing. Another bit of background about me is I'm a bit of a minimalist. I don't like too much clutter in my life, mentally and all that kind of stuff. So I like to keep it as slim as possible. So the only indicators I use are 3 moving averages, which is the 21, the 50, and the 200. And the main reason I use those is because everyone else uses those. So obviously, if you get the masses reacting on those particular moving averages, then obviously more likely it's got to bounce off of that moving average, as an example. I do use the RSI, but I don't swear by it. I think it's highly overrated, the RSI. It's more just a confirmation and a trend for me. I think if it moves past that middle part of the 50 line in the middle, I don't know if the viewers are into RSI too much. I guess we'll find out in the comments. But RSI for me is not everything, but it's a good trend confirmation, I think. So that's the only ones I use. That's moving average and RSI pretty much. I have tried and tested obviously other things as well, like the MACD and various other indicators, as everyone does. But for me, nice and simple.
And it works for you, right? I think that's okay. Yeah. So I think that's what the outcome is, right? I mean, what I have also noticed that when you put too many trend line, when you put too many indicators, you actually get yourself more confused rather than have more clarity. Now, when you are looking at the chart, you're looking at what intervals? Like you're looking at a minute interval, 5 minute, 1 hour. How do you trade?
So like a lot of traders, they will start from the top and go to the bottom. So I did a similar sort of thing. So I go to the day chart every morning, or kind of every time I start a trading session. I look at the day chart and see if there's any major support and resistance lines that are coming up. So I'll mark those out, probably typically a different color. And then I'll start diving down, probably straight. I wouldn't go to the 4 hour. I'll go straight down to the 1 hour. See if there's anything on there. Probably wouldn't draw lines on there unless there's anything obvious on the 1 hour, just because there's a lot of similarities between the 1 day and the 1 hour lines. And then I'll just jump straight down to the 15 and then see if there's anything there. Obviously, you're looking at the trend lines as well. So not only support and resistance, you're looking for trend lines. And then obviously down to the 5 minute. A lot of traders go down to the 1 minute, but I don't personally, just because my broker isn't that reactive.
I see.
So I don't find it to be that good of a quick, like a scalping thing. A lot of people scalp, which is, if your viewers don't know, it's a very small percentage of movement to get you a good profit.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to put down a lot of money for that. So yeah, I'd tend to stick on the 5 minute, if not the 15 minute. They're my main two kind of time frames, and it works for me. So from that as well, and just relating to that, actually, the 1 minute moving average doesn't tend to tell you much, because it's only a 1 minute, it moves a lot, so it does follow the lines a lot more. So the more you zoom out, the more spread out the moving averages will be. So be wary of that if you are looking to day trade sometime soon.
So Sean, let me ask you this then. When you are, so would you recommend that the 1 minute chart is mostly used for scalping than day trading, I guess?
Absolutely, yeah. So day trade, scalping is a part of day trading. So a lot of so I've seen YouTubers on here before, and I've watched people scalping, and I do quite like it, but it can be very highly emotional, so you can lose a lot of money very quickly. And obviously I have tried it in the past as well. So yeah, tend to stick to the 5 minute for more of a throughout the day trade, if that makes sense. So a few hours rather than a few seconds.
Okay.
That way. Yeah.
Now, do you trade every single day, or do you have like specific preferences to trade on a specific day, a specific hour, or none of that?
Not really, no. I like to think I can take a day off, but part of my kind of personality is I like to be in something. I like to be active. There's always an opportunity, basically. There's always an opportunity to make money, which is true. That's partially why I like day trading, because there's always opportunities. And recently, the last few weeks, I have tried to dial it back, and it's all part of the learning process, of course. I'm still only new, still only 8-9 months down the line. But at first, in the first like month or two, I was trading maybe 30 or 40 times a day, which is just insane, as I'm sure you're aware. But now I trade probably 5 to 10 positions a day on a day off, and then probably up to 5 on a day on work, if that makes sense. When I'm at work, I'll trade 4 or 5 times a day. But this week actually just gone, I must admit, it was a bit higher just because of the CPI, everything that was going on with FTX, etc. And I just wanted to kind of take those opportunities and make as much money as I could. And it did work. I had a green week, which I'm really proud of.
So this was a special week, I guess, because of the CPI as well as a lot of earnings, since earnings season is still, on. Did you have any big, can you share, if you want to share, if you can share any big wins on a specific ticker that you had this week?
So I had a big win. I won't say amounts because my account's still very small, so it won't sound as dramatic as you might think. But I did play Neo earnings, and I didn't play them into the earnings because that is a huge risk for anyone watching. Don't play earnings; it's very, very risky. Obviously, you can if you want to; it's your choice. But for me personally, I saw that Neo had a very good earnings report, at least on the face of it, headline related. So it went down just after that, and I thought this doesn't make any sense. Why is it going down? So I went over to Twitter, looked at a bit more details, on the actual earnings report, and I thought, okay, right, I place a trade here. I keep a fairly loose stop loss, so maybe about $1 or so, which is quite a heavy loss, but I'm prepared to take that because I feel like the chances are it will go up. And I held that trade from Thursday morning until Friday evening. So I had that trade for quite a long time, taking profits as I was going, and I made quite a bit of money off that relative to my account size, and I'm really proud of that. But contrary to that, I lost a lot of money on Palantir on Monday. So obviously they released a fairly good earnings report, so they are growing as a company. But the stock market at the time was going down, and the Palantir investors / whoever puts money into them didn't like the report for some reason. So they went down. I don't know if you saw about 10, 15% on that day. And that ruined me. And it didn't ruin me, but I lost money on that.
Now, so was your net results for the week positive or negative because of Palantir?
No, it was positive. So on Monday, it was fairly heavily negative. I couldn't tell you percentages wise. It's probably around about 20% down on the account. Yeah, which is quite heavy. But like I say, I am putting more on because my account size is quite low. So when I go part-time, full-time, I wouldn't be risking anywhere near that much money. But relative to that, I swung back round, and I think I was up about 25% on the week, which I'm really, really happy with. And I had the CPI report to thank for that, I must admit, and the earnings, of course. Yeah.
So since we are talking about CPI a couple of times, so let's talk about CPI a little bit. What are your thoughts on the CPI? I mean, it came 7.7, but let me see if I can share. I was actually looking at the CPI a little bit earlier. So I was looking at the CPI here. You can see my screen now, right?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's look at the chart over here. I mean, if you take a look at the latest CPI numbers here, 7.7, which is, of course, all categories combined. Food is still up 10.9. Energy is still up 17.6. And then all other items. I mean, if you look at the table for all other items, you're looking at 6.3 here. So which is relatively still high. Transportation services still pretty high in the double digits. I mean, airline fare has been killing, in a sense. I know you travel a lot, so you probably can feel the heat as well from a airline standpoint. What are your thoughts on these numbers here, Sean?
Well, I think generally, on the month on month, I think it is actually coming down. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I think that's what people are looking into, and I think that's what's making the positive impact on the market. And I think because of the dramatic downturn in CPI in this report, gives you that kind of confidence that maybe in the next one it will do just not the same thing in such a dramatic way, but it would trend down still. Obviously, time will tell. I think it's December 13th, that report, so that would be quite interesting. I think it's just a general anticipation of maybe we are turning the corner. Now, obviously, the Fed will be delayed, and they'll reduce interest rates probably. I don't know when, of course, but not for a long time. So I wouldn't expect a U-turn or a pivot anytime soon. But it definitely gives investors a little bit of hope and a bit of positivity for the future, at least in my view.
That's awesome. So,
sorry, just to return, but what do you think about CPI? Do you think that was good or?
So I think we had some kind of a dip. I forget the numbers earlier as well. So I am not that confident that Fed will pivot. At least we want to see this trend at least 1 or 2 more months, right? At least see the trend that it's going down.
Yeah.
And I think if that happens, because I think right now, if I'm not wrong, at least the last data I checked, they are still on track for 50 basis point hike.
For December, yeah.
Yeah, for December. If let's say December comes up, the CPI is down again, maybe they may say, you know what, maybe we can go down to 25 basis point or halt altogether. But I think the terminal rate is still pretty high for CPI, for the interest rate, which looking at about what 4.75 or 5%. That's what as of last call from was. So I mean, I want to test the data at least another month to see if
Yeah.
this was not a fluke. This was not just
Yeah, of course. You want it to actually trend down properly.
yeah, no, exactly. And I think, I think from a trading standpoint, I actually am okay with whether the stock is down or stock is up, because if it's
Yeah.
down, from a long-term portfolio standpoint, you can actually add a lot of these stocks. Of course, you don't want to go all in and buy all stocks and you put all your money in. But I think this is a good time to, intelligently add on to your portfolio, long-term portfolio, as you see these different
Yeah.
trend lines.
I think that's a good thing to, sorry, just to
Go ahead.
continue
Yeah,
on
yeah,
from that.
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Butting in there, sorry about that. But yeah, financial education is a good part of this as well. So if you're, just a guy who just kind of works a normal job, um, or girl, obviously, having a financial education is really, really important. Putting that kind of 10% away into your investments, or, there's lots of different strategies, but really learning about financial education before investing is another key point, at least for me, to kind of start your investing journey, because it's you can easily lose a lot of money very quickly, as
Yeah.
we've seen this year. Unfortunately, for many people, they've lost a lot of money, especially in crypto.
Oh my.
But yeah,
Yeah, let's not get
yeah,
even started in crypto. Crypto has been I personally have, been thinking for a long time that a lot of YouTubers and many people on Twitter and other, they had this notion that it will be decentralized, there'll be no government intervention. And I always thought that it does not make any sense, because for any government, money, military, those are some of those areas that they cannot let go, because once you let go of the money aspect in the economy, then nothing is under your control. So I never understood, how will you be completely decentralized from the government? That just doesn't make any sense. Well, guess what? Now with all these bankruptcies popping up, the government gets a good excuse to come in and regulate the industry. And once it's regulated, then it's no longer your decentralized.
no, no. I think it might be better for cryptocurrency. I don't know. We probably have to, get someone else on the channel to speak about that. But for me, I think regulation might be good for crypto. I'm not
I
too
mean,
sure.
in
Yeah,
cases of this bankruptcies where investors have put in, and I'll be very honest, I'll be forthcoming on the channel as well, that I was involved with Celsius. I mean, of course, I had a very small amount of bitcoins in Celsius. Unfortunately, when they went bankrupt, or they filed for bankruptcy a couple months ago, well, that money is basically gone. I mean,
yeah,
they
it
I
is. Yeah,
yeah, I couldn't get it out on time because I didn't know. By the time I came to know through Twitter or news, it was like, oh well, guess what, you can't take the money out. So that amount of Bitcoin is like, it's gone.
yeah.
So
And that's kind of a harsh reality that a lot of people are feeling now. And I do feel sorry for a lot of people. And I'm lucky to say that I don't have much in crypto, well, in FTX
oh my God.
specifically.
Yeah,
But
FTX,
yeah,
Voyager, now BlockFi, because BlockFi was not funded, but they were saved by FTX, and I think 400
yeah,
million they had
they bought
invested.
them out.
Yeah, and so they are in trouble now. So if you think about it, all these different exchanges, I think the only ones that are safe at this current point in time is Coinbase. Nothing has happened yet, and Gemini. Binance, of course, is the big one, but you never know what will happen from here. So let's go back to the stock, because you and I, we both love stocks. So we have been there's a lot of predictions going on for the end of year now. So like 6 weeks to go, 6-7 weeks to go before the year ends. What is your prediction for S&P 500? And I'll share the screen with you. Give me 1 second. So
Oh yeah,
right now, on the S&P 500, these are different predictions from all these different funds, or the banks, or whoever you want to call them. So Morgan Stanley is probably is more bearish end of the year. It's 3,500. That's what they are predicting. And Oppenheimer is 4,800. So now if I'm looking at this, S&P 500, it's a descending channel, right? They're making, lower high.
absolutely. Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
where do you see, and I see a lot of folks, they are, in this range, between 42 and 4,800 is what the predictions are from the optimistic camp, and for the pessimistic camp, they are somewhere, right around here. Where do you think, from your prediction standpoint, where do you think we'll end the year with?
So personally, I think we'll end the year hopefully around about 390, 400. Obviously, you've got the thousands there, but I tend to look at the actual kind of SPY, which is the 100th version.
Mhm.
But for me, we could see, obviously with the news that's going on and things like that, the top of the COVID, I don't know if you can zoom in there a little bit. I'm
Yeah,
not too
sure.
sure.
Top
But
of the yeah.
top bit there would be a huge psychological level for people.
Mhm.
And you can see that with Morgan Stanley's prediction there.
Yeah,
But I don't think we'll end up there. I think hopefully with another decent CPI report, I wouldn't say we're going to go to the moon, but I would say hopefully around where we are now would be a good spot. Maybe if we can break that 420, then who knows, we might see all-time highs. But for me, around 400 would be healthy. But what do I know? I'm just a guy sitting here in the south of the UK. But for me, I'd be happy for that. A little bit more volatility so I can make money on the day trading. But overall, I think that would be fairly healthy.
Yeah, I think I kind of align with your expectation as well. I think the COVID highs are a little bit on the lower side. And considering that the last few weeks before the year ends, generally you get good run. And, we saw recently in the last 2 days, all the high beta stocks, a firm was down like 18-19% after earnings. And it was not a horrible earning, but it was not a great earning either. But the stock went back up all the way, 15, 13, 14% in the last 2 days.
So it rebounded very nicely, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I do believe that we will somewhere end up in this range between the Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and Credit Suisse. Somewhere around this area. I think we should see if we go over the trend, and I think we will probably get rejected around this level, which would be,
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and then probably, honestly, personally, I love when stocks go down because, from a long-term investing standpoint, I can add more stocks. I don't want to buy Apple at 180. I want to buy Apple at 120 because I know, right? Because in 10 years from now, Apple will be much more valuable than what it is today, and vice versa. And for any other stocks, Tesla, Nvidia. So that's my thought process on the long-term investing.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think look at that back at that one. The top of the COVID would be the bounce. Hopefully, the bottom of the market. I'm not too sure if you can say that with any sort of confidence. But if we were going to bounce anywhere, that would be my prediction to bounce from if things are going to get worse. And it's likely because we are in a bear market and we are likely to continue going down, of course. It's just where we bounce, and I think that would be a huge psychological level for people. Well, for me at least, it is. So yeah.
So Sean, from your long-term investing standpoint, do you have any specific sectors or stocks that you generally invest in, or right now you're just staying put and not investing any?
So I dollar cost average every month. So with my paycheck, I put in money into my long-term investing portfolio. It's not a huge portfolio. It's more of one of those high growth long-term portfolios, which you can see on my channel. I might do a little update soon, actually, thinking about it. It might be a good idea to do a little update. But yeah, I hold SPY as well. So obviously that's my kind of general one. But I do like the high risk stocks, I must admit. So my Neo, my Palantir, etc. I've got a bit of nano dimension in there as well.
Yeah, those are very high beta stock. I think Neo really is I do hold Neo as well in my long-term portfolio, but I haven't added any lately into Neo as well. I just keep it what my initial purchase was, and I think I'm down, I would say a good chunk. I would say at least 30-35% I'm down on Neo.
I'm down about 21%. I think I checked this morning just to see what it was, because I update it every week.
Okay.
I think it's about 21%, which I'm really happy about, to be fair, because my average price is around about 15, I think. So
no, mine is in the 30s. I think 28, 29, something like that. Because I haven't added more. The only thing I do with Neo is I actually run covered calls on Neo. But since the stock has gone down so much that the covered calls are not, generating any premium on those unless I
That's a shame.
call for, let's say, 2025 January. But it's like 40-50 bucks you get, so it's not dropping my cost average that much. So that's one of the challenges.
That's a shame. Yeah, I saw your video recently. Actually, you got quite a large portfolio in terms of selections, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, no,
So,
I am
do
actually
you?
thinking of cutting that down, because I think when I was building it out, in my initial thought process was to kind of have about 12 stocks and manage them. Now I think as the market is switching and changing, I'm kind of consolidating into couple stocks and mostly sticking with the ETF until we
Yeah,
are out of this run. And some of those high beta stocks like Robinhood or Pinterest, they have been hammered.
they have. They certainly have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that Robinhood either is going to be acquired or it's still going to stay. It's not your typical how do I put it? It's not your typical company that just is coming in and just flash in a pan and just disappear.
No, I mean, it's everyone's everyday app, isn't it, over there? So basically everyone has a Robinhood account, from what I can tell. Obviously, I'm not too sure. I don't live over there, but I think everyone has it. I think it's like a staple in people's investment portfolios. But
Exactly.
even the big boys like Graham Stephan and Andre Gic, they still have Robinhood. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
has them. So
In all honesty, my main brokerage is Fidelity. But if you look at the ease of use, if you have, let's say, a TD Ameritrade or Fidelity or Charles Schwab, it's a very cumbersome UI. Whereas when you go to Robinhood, it's so simple. Now it is of course not great for trading. It's not meant for
no,
trading,
yeah,
right? But I think for normal average investors or users, I think that's perfect. You just pull it up, the UI is amazing, you quickly search for something. Now they're adding those advanced charts in there. So of course I'm not promoting Robinhood on this channel, but
no,
personally I think UI based, I think it's the UI is very clean and it's simple to use, as opposed
yeah,
to some of the traditional brokerages. And of course there's a lot goes behind the scene when the payment of order flows, and a lot of people are against that part since of the AMC and GME movement.
yeah, of course.
But it is what it is. I don't think that is going to change anytime soon. That's a business model. I personally think that will stick. So what I'm doing is I'm not removing any stocks yet from my portfolio. That's a small portfolio, but I will kind of like move away, just leave the initial investment as is and build on my other ones, because I am very bullish on AMD. I think 5-10 years semiconductor is going to explode.
Yeah, yeah,
And then sticking with the energy and the financial sector ETFs, also looking into the tech sector ETF, just to slowly build upon it as go through the coming weeks and months. That's the
yeah,
plan.
of course. That sounds like a good plan. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. So, Sean, if somebody has to start trading, I will. This is my last question, but I want to get your opinion. If somebody wants to start getting into trading, now you switched from investing to trading, so of course you took that time and effort. What would be first? Would you recommend? And if you recommend, what kind of mindset a person should have? And secondly, how should they go about? What are some of your tips and tricks? Because of course you can look it up YouTube and there's a lot of information out there, but how would you suggest somebody should go about this?
So yeah, good question. It's a deep one as well. So we could go in for a long, long time into this subject, of course. But obviously, if you're looking out to start day trading, you've got to have a mindset straight from the off that you're going to lose a lot. Now, I'm a person who typically doesn't like losing. Any of my friends will vouch for that. And of course, that is part of my personality, but it was very hard to come across and start losing and be okay with it, because every trade it's not going to go your way. It's not going to go green every time. And I'm sure everyone will tell you that if you don't know it already. So starting off, I would probably start with a paper trading account, a dummy account, fake money, whatever you want to call it. A lot of brokers have this, and this is just to get used to the platform. So learning how to buy and sell stock, how to set stop losses, target profit zones, and set out the charts that you can do on the platforms. And that's really to start, basically get used to the platform and get comfortable with it, so that when you do use your real money, you're not only emotionally hit from when you lose money, but you're frustrated at the platform because you think it's their fault. It's not their fault. They're just there to kind of, be a platform, so for you to trade on. So I think that's a really key thing to start off with a dummy account. And then as you get comfortable, maybe after 2 or 3 weeks, then put in a little bit of money, just a very small amount of money. Because if you go in straight away with, 100K or something like that, you're more than likely going to lose most of that in the first few weeks, just because you don't know what you're doing. Now, I'm only 8, 9 months down the line, and I still, I'm still very much a beginner, and I'm tracking that. And from that, actually, tracking your trades is really, really important, in my opinion, just because that's the only way you're going to learn. So if you're continuously losing, you want to know why. So you want to track those trades, you want to make notes if you can. Everyone tracks in different ways. I've got videos on this as well. Everyone tracks in different ways, but for me personally, I just keep a simple spreadsheet online and update it every evening. That's it. It's just a small 5-10 minute job done. And that's it. So yeah, from that, what else would I say? Learning basic patterns. Just Google images search day trading patterns, and then you'll get up. I've actually got one.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So this is just a piece of paper, really, really simple, of just day trading patterns. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them now, but I like to just have it here when I'm trading. So it just reminds me of what patterns I'm looking for. So it could be a bear flag, a bull flag, double bottoms, double tops, that kind of thing. Just really simple stuff. It doesn't sound simple if you don't know, obviously, but once you get into it, it will sound simple. But just having that there is a good reminder of kind of what I'm looking for, basically. And yeah, so that's kind of my basics for getting into day trading. But the mindset is the key. So you've got to work on your mindset. A lot of people meditate. I don't just yet, just because I'm not part-time, full-time. It's not an excuse to not do it, but it's just I'm not that level to feel like I need to meditate, if that makes sense. So I go to the gym to get my frustrations out if I have a bad day, that kind of stuff. So I have my ways of getting rid of my frustration. Of course, everyone does. But if you build that frustration, you're only going to lose more and more money. And it's not good for your mental health if you keep doing that as well, because then you're just going to beat yourself up. And that's one of the challenges of becoming a day trader is your emotions. It plays on your emotions a lot. I hope any of that made sense.
It made a lot of sense. Yeah,
there's a lot of information there, but yeah.
No, it made. So I think I have a recommendation for your suggestion. You can take it or leave it. I think the chart patterns could be a good way for you to teach us all these different chart patterns. Either you can use the shorts to do it, or you can make a video out of it. I think that will be amazing to learn.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you very much for the idea. I think I might do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I think each chart pattern, what it is, how it is, I think it's amazing, especially for, I personally, I love technical analysis. I don't day trade, but I don't day trade like you. I trade off, sometimes here and there, but mostly I'm into options trading. So I kind of enjoy the technical analysis for options trading. But
just to go into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Part of the investing side that I was doing in the first kind of year and a half, obviously I still invest now, but part of the investing was the appeal of technical analysis, which also kind of tails in, like you said, with day trading, and that kind of appealed to me in such a way that maybe I could do this daily. So yeah, like you say, technical analysis is a big part of day trading.
Now, I've also heard that a lot of people say, oh, technical analysis does not matter. It's all fundamental analysis. I personally think as an investor, and I know you talked about RSI. I love RSI. And I'll tell you, like, when I'm investing, if I'm buying a stock, I would actually go and check the RSI. If it's 70, I'm not going to buy that stock, no matter whether it's dollar cost average or not. The reason is because, yes, in the short term, you will say, oh, I only saved few cents. But if you do this exercise every single time, I do track as well. So I have really seen, that 2-3%, 4%, over the course of time, that makes a big difference, especially when it compounds, and a lot of people, let's say, dollar cost average, I just buy the same time, same amount, same stock. But what I have started doing, at least in the last 1 year or so, I think every time before I invest on my long-term portfolio, I just go and check the RSI. If it's overheated, I don't invest that time. I wait for the RSI to drop and then I just buy it. So yeah, I mean, might be few cents here and there, but I think over a course of 10, 12, 15, 20 years, I think
I
those
think
10.
that, yeah, I think through compounding, you will notice a difference if you don't do that. That's a good point, actually, on the RSI. I think using it for long-term investing as well is quite key.
That's what I recommend my friends. I said, you don't have to know everything. It's not fake. It's basically, investor the hedge fund, not hedge funds, but traders do that. Why can't we use the same methodology into investing as well and take what's working? Because stocks do get overheated, right? Especially like when a stock will run, like let's say
Yeah,
if stock is falling, if it's, let's say, RSI is like 30, below 30, and you're like, oh man, let's wait for another dip and then I'll buy it. No, it's already overheated, oversold.
yeah,
The good
yeah.
time to get in.
I think it's better like that on the long term. So, but when you're day trading, RSI for me is just purely momentum.
Oh, no,
But
no.
as you mentioned, for long term, I think that's actually a very good point. Yeah,
So I've been trying to do that. I have not tracked how much difference I have made it, but I think saving those maybe $1 here, $1 there over a course of 20 years, I think you don't have to do it. I just enjoy doing it. So it's an experiment I'm doing on the sidelines. But I do think that in options trading that also works, because if the stock is overheated, you will pay higher prices for that options as well. So I generally always look at the RSI before I press that buy button or sell button.
yeah, good point.
Yeah. So that's on my side. But Sean, thank you so much for today's conversation. I think it was an amazing conversation. I think we learned a lot on the trading, and I would love to have you again if you have time to further deep dive into the chart patterns. And I think you should definitely look into kind of educating all of us on chart pattern side, since you are much more experienced in trading than all of us. Any parting words? Any final thoughts from your side?
I know, just thank you very much for hosting me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to doing this for quite some time. And yeah, I hope obviously more day traders come to the platforms. And obviously, if you need help, just contact me. That's absolutely fine. Not a problem. I'm a fairly easygoing guy, and I'd love to be on your channel again, Kay. I'd love it. Yeah,
Thank you
it's been
so
good
much.
fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Sean.
So I hope you enjoyed the chat. I really did. I really enjoyed doing it. Obviously, I was a little bit nervous at first, as I'm sure you could tell, but I eased into it and I got a little bit more comfortable, obviously, with the surroundings, because it's very new to me. But I just want to say thank you very much again to Kay for this opportunity, and obviously, hopefully, we'll do it again in the future. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this, and obviously, stick around for this video on the right, and you'll learn something more about day trading. Take care and see you in the next one.